Peter Hobler, whose fault is it really?
Hello, Keith. And in the realm of divorce, that is such an important question because divorce is one of the greatest challenges any of us can go through. And especially when there's children involved. So as a parent, from my personal experience, each of us were constantly blaming the other, accusing the other, threatening the other, and things just continued to spiral downward. And it got to such a point, I know for me, I felt like I was completely walking on eggshells. I couldn't say anything, do anything right. And it got to the point where I realized as I reflected on responsibility, whose fault is it really? Whose responsibility is it that we're in such a bad situation? And it's not one person or the other. And when I realized we'd each played roles, yes, I realized I had played a role. And it began with the day that I asked the now ex to marry me. So if I'd never done that, we never would have been married. The situation wouldn't be what it was. So each of us has played a role, and it doesn't matter whose fault it is, whose responsibility is. What matters is, for me, what mattered the most, I recognized that our young daughter, who was 3 years old at the time, was being so negatively affected by everything going on. So I gained clarity for what I wanted to create for her. And that involved my being the best possible parent I could be. So I determined to create a shift. After all, each of us, the only person we can control or change is the person in the mirror. So I simply committed to remain calm. And over time, each of us got to that point. And today our daughter is 23 years old and absolutely thriving.
Excellent.
I know you've got a question or two for me, so I can't wait to hear it.
You said something that I think is really hard for any man who's gone through a divorce, and that is the question, whose fault is it really? I heard you say that you can shift it, and yet talk about how challenging it is to shift that from it doesn't matter or to it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, and that's a great point, Keith. I think we get so caught up in our anger, which for me personally, I realized stemmed completely from my fears that the ex would try and take the daughter from me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really scary stuff for me because my daughter was the most important part of my life. And the way that I shifted was I realized my anger was never going to create anything positive for me or for my daughter or for the ex in that matter. And even though we still didn't always agree moving forward, when we each got to the point where we could remain calm instead of reacting to our fears and our anger, we absolutely created a pretty huge shift. So for me, the realization that I needed to really, really get clear on what I want to create for my daughter was huge, absolutely huge. So my challenge for each of you listening to this is to get clear on what you want to create for your children. So I have a free clarity exercise. If you simply go to thexfactor.com/clarity exercise. So that's www.thex-factor.com/clarity exercise. And the password is clarity1, clarity and the digit 1. Take 10 minutes today and start by asking yourself, what do I really want to create for my kids? And complete that clarity exercise. And this will help you to shift your focus, to shift your perspective, so you can let go of the anger and create more of what you want.
I like that, Peter, and I suggest putting it in a comment to be able to access it in a comment below your post.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. I really like your suggestion. I accept.
Thank you. All right. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Keith. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.